Hello, my name is Aaron Times. Let's play Vampire Bloodlines. Well, sort of. This is actually Vampire the Final Nights. It's a mod for Vampire Bloodlines. And this version 1.3, was released in February 5, 2015. That's earlier this month. And a hotfix was released 3 days later on February 8 to fix some minor issues. Before we begin, let's talk about the base game. Vampire Bloodlines was the final game released by Troika Games before they went bankrupt. They released it in 2004 and they went bankrupt in 2005. Like all Troika games, Bloodlines was very fun but also very buggy. But luckily, mods like the Final Nights fixed a lot of the base game's problems while adding lots of new content. So let's click New Game to begin. Okay, the loading screen contains some snippets of lore that you can read while waiting for the game to load. But unfortunately, I have a modern computer with a solid state drive, so the game loads too fast for me to actually read any but the shortest loading screen blurbs. So let's see. A new game starts with creating a new character. Would you like to go directly to the character sheet and set your character's clan attributes and abilities, or learn more about the clans introduced in the Final Nights? The thing about the Final Nights is that they replaced the pretty useless character creation questionnaire with this one. This is the Final Nights clan histories. You can learn about the Assamites, the Bali, the followers of Set, the Ishtari, the Usebo, the Salubri, and the Samedi. These are the 7 clans that you can play in this game, and they replaced the original 7 Camarilla clans from the original Bloodlines. For this playthrough, we will be playing as the Salubri. So let's just click here. And we don't have time to read that. We're just gonna click here and end. So right now we're gonna go to number 1. So go directly to the character sheet. Blah blah blah. Okay, here we go. So let's see. I already chose a name for my character, the Medic, because the Salubri are healer vampires. So let's see. We've chosen the right ones, but let's go through these 7 first. The Assamites are Middle Eastern vampires. They're pretty much assassins, and they hunt down other vampires. And I think imagine Assassin's Creed, except that the protagonist Altair is a vampire instead of human. The Bali are pretty much really villainous vampires. They're pretty much chaotic evil, and they worship demons. They literally worship demons. The followers of Set are vampires descended from the Egyptian god Set. And they have a theme of corrupting mortals and vampires that like to do evil acts. The way they're written in the game books, they pretty much seem like a comic book villain type of vampire. But from what I've heard in the various novels and tie-in short stories to this game, they tend to have more realistic and more human motivations, other than tempting people to do evil for evil's sake. Let's see, the Ishtari. The Ishtari are the African version, the Libon version of the Toreador clan from Vampire Bloodlines. They're pretty much a clan of pretty people with super speed and being super beautiful. You can think of them as Twilight vampires, except they're much less angsty than the Twilight vampires, and they're much less high school cliquish than the Twilight vampires. So yeah. Oh, and they don't glow in sunlight, they burn in sunlight. Okay, the Usebo. The Usebo are the Libon version of the Bruja clan from Vampire Bloodlines. The Libon are the African versions of the Western Kindred. And this is pretty much the fighter class of the game. They're pretty good in combat. They have super speed. Let me see what they have. Oh, okay, they have Auspex, Potence, and Celerity. So they have enhanced senses, super strength, and super speed. Okay, that's different from the base Bruja. So we're going to be playing Salubri, so we'll handle that last. The Samedi, they're the equivalent of the Nosferatu in Vampire Bloodlines. And in the lore, the Samedi are actually an offshoot of the Nosferatu clan. Whereas the Nosferatu look monstrous, the Samedi look really undead. I mean, they're walking zombies. They look like the zombies from The Walking Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and other zombie shows, except that they're actually intelligent, and their zombie state in no way affects their ability to think. Of course, well, it does affect them socially because people find them disgusting, and they're afraid of them, or they try to kill them because they look like zombies. But they can think perfectly. Their decaying bodies do not affect their minds at all. Excuse me. And finally, we get to the Salubri. The Salubri are the stereotypical good vampires. Their signature power is Obeah. It's actually a healing power. So they're kind of like the cleric class in traditional RPGs. And they can use their healing on themselves, on other vampires, or even on mortals. And in the pencil and paper RPG, their weakness was that they actually could not feed on unwilling donors. So they either had to ask for that person's permission to drink his blood, or they could drink the blood of someone who cannot actively deny consent, like someone who is asleep, unconscious, or even dead. And let's see. Their advantages in this game is that they receive +2 bonus versus frenzy, so they're much calmer than the other vampires. They have faster natural regeneration, so that's a side effect of their innate power. But their drawback is that, let's see, they find it difficult to bring themselves to feed from mortals. Okay, so I think that means that they gain less blood from mortals. This is an interesting way of implementing their clan weakness from the role-playing game. And let's see, harder to blend in with normal society, so appearance will cost more experience to change. Oh yes, that's their second weakness. When they use their higher level powers, a third eye on their forehead will actually open, and depending on the level of the power, it will actually glow brightly with power. So if you use the highest level powers of Obeah, you will have a glowing third eye on your forehead, which is a massive breach of the masquerade and will attract unwanted attention, mostly in the form of vampire hunters and other monsters who hate and other creatures or even monsters that hate vampires. So we're gonna choose Salubri, and let's see. Oh yeah, I remember. When I first learned of Vampire the Masquerade, the pencil and paper video game, I wanted to play a good vampire. My original choice was the Simici, which was they're pretty much the complete monster vampires. They're known as the flesh crafters, in that they can reshape flesh as they see fit, and they tend to be complete monsters in the game. I actually wanted to play a Shimizi that would use his powers to heal people. And our storyteller back then, what was his name? I think his name was Neil Owen, and he actually suggested that I play the Salubri. The Salubri are the vampires who actually have healing as their main power, but they were mostly wiped out in the Modern Knights. And let's see, am I remembering this right? Yeah, I played a Salubri character in a Vampire the Masquerade game set during the Dark Ages. He was a knight, and he believed himself to be an angel of God, and he used his healing powers to have to basically recruit people to help him on his holy quest. That was a very long time ago, and I'm probably misremembering a lot of the details. Anyway, moving on. One of the things that makes the Final Nights unique from other mods is that they use this history system. This history system is used in many other mods, including the plus version of the unofficial patch. But what makes the Final Nights unique is that all of their history options have no drawbacks. For example, none just gives you nothing. You have no advantages and no disadvantages. But if you choose, let's say, Lone Officer, you get +1 to Inspection and Haggle. Had this been another mod, probably you'd get maybe -1 to Perception or -1 to Seduction, because people hate Lone Officers. But in this game, you get a free bonus like +1 to Inspection and Haggle. Tenacious Gumshoe, you were a cop. Your father was a cop. His father was a cop. Even your brother was a cop, so you're a cop too. And this gives you +2 to Inspection. One thing that I find interesting is that Law Officer and Tenacious Gumshoe, these give bonuses to feats that were pretty useless in the original Vampire Bloodlines. Because Inspection, it didn't really give you anything other than a few dialogue options that gave you bonus XP, but if you didn't spend any points in Inspection, you probably wouldn't have needed the bonus XP in the first place. It also highlighted hidden items throughout the game, but the thing was the items would spawn in the same place during each game. So if you remembered where the hidden items were during your last playthrough, you could just go directly there and pick them up, making this feat completely useless. Let's see. Haggle was pretty useless. I mean, it worked. It worked the way it was advertised, but you got more than enough money while playing the game, even if you had zero haggle. So you pretty much didn't need it. So let's see. Locksmith. Yeah, lockpicking was pretty useful in the base game. There were some locks that you could only open if you had maxed lockpicking. Like in the final levels, if you had maxed out lockpicking, you could actually skip a large part of the large parts of the final level by just lockpicking the door and going directly to the next level. So let's see, aspiring tattoo composer, +1 research and persuasion. No, not just a mere artist, but a composer. Okay, whatever that means. I'm not really a tattoo person, but okay, I just noticed that our character actually has a lot of tattoos himself. So yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense for him to have this aspiring tattoo composer background. But I'm not really into tattoos, so I'm gonna change. Let's see, black hat. Okay, low level security stuff is your game. Okay, yada yada. Okay, so you used to be a good guy, but you got framed, so you became a black hat to survive. And it gives you +2 to hacking. Hacking was another useless skill in the original Vampire Bloodlines because the passwords did not change when you started a new game. So if you remember the password that the hacking skill gave you when you last played the game, you could just type that directly and gain access to the files on the various computer systems. And there were even many ways to legally learn the passwords of the various systems. You could either use your mind control powers to convince people to tell you the password or open the system for you. And in many places, the password is actually literally written on a piece of paper, posted on the wall. Okay, let's see. Black Hat Circus Freak. So, okay. You're a circus freak, so you get +2 to defense. It's not bad. This is the World of Darkness. We will take a lot of damage because it's a dangerous place. That sounds boring. Missionary of Burden. Okay. Okay, so you're a religious... So you're a Christian mercenary who tried preaching, who tried converting people in a Muslim country. Okay, that's not really a very good idea. And you got kidnapped by a group of Islamic cultists. They tortured you for 6 years, and you somehow were rescued. And when you got back home, a vampire embraced you. So wow, sucks to be you. But wow, you gain +2 to bashing bashing soak, so you're much more resistant to bullets and blunt weapons. Nope. So, okay, Nocturnal Road Crew. So you were a road worker at night, and okay. So you answered a newspaper ad to purchase an old antique gun, though you were wary of the pickup location, and you got turned into a vampire. So you're good at unarmed combat, you're good at punching people and grappling them, and you can shoot people. That doesn't really sound interesting. Paranormal investigator. Okay, all people will believe anything. Okay, so you pay me the money and I'll tell you how Uncle Johnny is sitting pretty in purgatory. So in this background, your character was a con man who pretended to be a psychic or someone who could talk to dead people. And unfortunately, you ran into a vampire who thought that maybe, let's see. Okay, so you ran into a vampire who embraced you, and she probably thought that you had real powers. Unfortunately, you don't. So your advantage is +1 to persuasion and seduction. So you're sexy and you're persuasive, and you use these skills to con people. Let's see. Persuasion and seduction are pretty useful skills to have. Persuasion gives you lots of dialogue options, and seduction allows you to feed safely in clubs. There are actually you can actually use the seduction skill to convince people to be willing blood donors. These people are known as blood dolls. Blood dolls either actively seek out vampires to be fed from them because getting fed from by a vampire feels really, really good, or they got fed or a vampire fed on them and they decided that it felt really good and they wanted more of that. So, this is actually a tough choice. Okay, so let's see. The Salubri are a healer type of vampire. So, do I want to be a hacker, a locksmith? Okay, I'm gonna go with this tenacious gumshoe for +2 to inspection. I read in the Final Nights forums that they changed the way inspection worked, and that if you had a high enough inspection, special items would actually spawn on the maps. These can range from stuff that you can sell for money to weapons to even magic items that you couldn't get anywhere else. So, yeah, that's one of the things they changed about this game. So we're gonna be a former cop. Let's click next. Okay. One thing that I noticed about the Final Nights is that your stat allocation is random. Last time I tried to create a character, I had 1 point in social and 1 point in mental, but now I have 1 point in physical and 1 point in mental. Whereas, yeah, this is still the same from the last time. 1 point in talents, 2 in skills, and 2 in knowledges, and of course, it's always 1 point in disciplines. So for physical, okay, strength is for melee damage, dexterity is for lockpicking. Oh, lockpicking and sneaking. I'm gonna get that because I want to avoid a lot of fights, and sometimes, actually no, not just sometimes. In many cases, taking the stealthy route will give you better rewards, and it will allow you to get through a lot of the game without having to fight. So, yeah, it'll let you bypass a lot of fights, so you can get away with not getting combat skills earlier. Social, no points, so we'll just ignore that. Mental, I already checked the disciplines for this game, and I know that maxing out aspects is a much better deal than putting any point into the mental skills, because at aspects 5 you get +4 to wits and perception and +3 to intelligence. So all of your stats start at 1, so perception +4 is equal to 5, which is maxed out perception. The same for wits. And intelligence +3 will give you 4 intelligence, so that's just 1 more to max it out. So to max it out, we're going to put 1 point here. Talents, do I want brawl? I'm going to go with subterfuge, so it makes it easier for me to feed on people. Make them more willing to get fed on by me. And let's see, skills. Well, this is tough. Security is for lockpicking. Stealth is, well, duh, it's for stealth. And melee, let's see. There are some fights that you cannot avoid in the early game, but do I want melee or firearms? Generally, firearms were very weak early on in the game in Vampire Bloodlines, where pretty much melee was the combat skill of choice in the early to mid game. But once you got to the really obnoxious sewer level that marked the transition from early game to mid game and finally to the late game, firearms was the king of the battlefield. It allowed you to take out enemies from a long distance, and it let you avoid their very, very powerful melee attacks. And even against enemies that could close the gap against you, a maxed out firearm skills would allow you to use auto fire and pretty much dump a lot of damage onto them with the Stare Og, or what other weapons were there in the base game? There was the Stare Og, there was the Uzi, there was the sniper rifle, there was the MAC-10. Automatic weapons was the sniper rifle, and yeah, this was pretty good in late game. This was early game, but I heard that it's viable to use firearms in the early game in the final night, so I'm gonna try that and go for firearms too. And now we go to knowledges. Computer is for hacking, a skill they buffed. Finance is for haggling, another skill they buffed. Investigation is for inspection, which they buffed, and scholarship. Well, in the base game, scholarship was the only viable skill in Vampire Bloodlines. These three were pretty much worthless in the base game. So do I want scholarship? Scholarship gives you research and persuasion, two very, very useful skills. Research lets you read skill books, which gave you free points. And persuasion, well, it gave you a lot of dialogue choices that would make your life easier, or convince people not to fight you, or even unlock some stuff that you couldn't get to without a difficult persuasion check. Let's see, investigation. I already have a lot of investigation. Do I want to max that out, or shall I min-max by putting all my points in investigation, or do I want to spread them around? Finance for money, investigation. You know what? I normally always go with scholarship in the normal game, so I'm gonna bump up investigation to as highest level as possible. So I started investigation 5 right away. Okay, Auspex. Well, as far as we can see, it's been buffed here. In the normal game, it only added +3 to wits and perception at level 5, but here in the final nights, it's +4 to wits and perception and +3 to intelligence. And it lasts a whopping 240 seconds per activation. 240 divided by 60 is equal to 4. So it's 4 minutes per activation. That's not bad. Does it cost blood to activate? Auspex costs 1 blood to use. Okay. So Fortitude. Fortitude is the vampiric toughness. It's kind of like... if this were D&D, this would be like mage armor or even stone skin, a protective buff against you. This is useful, more useful later in the game, because you tend to take a lot of damage there, and having a high level of fortitude will allow you to tank a lot of damage. It's pretty useful. So let's see, Blood Heal. Blood Heal is a skill unique to the Final Nights and Camarilla Edition, and a few other mods use it. But unique to the Camarilla Edition and the Final Nights is that your vampire character will not automatically heal his wounds without using Blood Heal, unlike the base game and some other mods. So this is not a bad thing to have. However, we have Obeah, which is the signature Salubri skill. This is a healing skill. In the base game, it allow you to heal people by spending blood. And let's see what it does. So level 1 sends vitality. So is this like Auspex? Okay. Level 2 is +2 bonus to frenzy checks. Okay, 1 blood per activation. 1 blood per activation. Renewed vigor. So aura of healing, regenerating wounds very quickly. Okay. That's 1 blood per activation. Anesthetic touch, +3 bonus to soak feet. So you pretty much anesthetize yourself from pain. So okay, you don't feel pain. So this is kind of like blood heal. This is kind of like fortitude. So fortitude 3. And this one, Wrath of Heaven. So +3 to unarmed and melee combat, 120 seconds per activation. I'm willing to bet that Obeah is cumulative. Let's see. It doesn't say if it's cumulative, but the way it's worded, it's always 1 blood per activation. It lasts progressively longer. So I'm thinking that this is only 1 discipline, and you gain all the benefits of all previous levels when you reach a new level, unlike some other disciplines. Blood buff, well, this is a skill that you spend blood to increase your stats, your strength, dexterity, and stamina. This was a pretty overpowered power, and completely free in the original Bloodlines. But in the plus the plus patch of the unofficial plus version of the unofficial patch, I believe you had to spend points on blood buff to improve it, or maybe I'm thinking of some other mod. But in this game, blood buff is not free, and you have to spend points to improve it. With no points spent on it, it only increases your stats by 1. So that's pretty bad. It's +1 to all physical stats for 20 seconds, and it costs 3 blood to do that. While at level 5, it lasts for 2 minutes, and all stats are raised by 5. And it costs 1 blood to activate, but 3 blood to maintain. Okay, that's interesting. So it gets much cheaper and lasts much longer, and the effect is much stronger as you put more points to it. Since this is a new mod, I want to experience the new content much sooner, so I'm gonna put my point to Obeah. And I believe that's it. So, let's see. I have the option to skip intro. The intro is pretty long, and but since this is my first playthrough of Vampire Bloodlines, I mean, this is my first Let's Play of Vampire Bloodlines, so I'm not gonna skip the intro. So let's see. Am I forgetting something? Oh yeah, the name. Yeah, I'm gonna call myself the medic from Team Fortress 2, because that's what Salubri are. Okay, so let's see. Am I missing something? Nope, I'm not missing anything. So I'm gonna hit accept.
Good evening. My fellow kindred, my apologies for disrupting any business or interfering with prior engagements you may have had this evening. It's unfortunate that the affair that gathers us together tonight is a troubling one. We are here because the laws that bind our society, the laws that are the fabric of our existence, have been broken. As Prince, I am within my rights to grant or deny the kindred of this city the privilege of siring. Many of you have come to me seeking permission, and I have endorsed some of these requests. However, the accused that sits before you tonight was not refused permission. Indeed, my permission was never sought at all. They were caught shortly after the embrace of this child. It pains me to announce the sentence, as up to tonight I considered the accused a loyal and upstanding member of our organization. But as some of you may know, the penalty for this transgression is death. Know that I am no more adjudicator than I am a servant to the law that governs us all. Let tonight's proceedings serve as a reminder to our community that we must adhere to the code that binds our society, lest we endanger all of our blood. Forgive me. Let the penalty commence. Which leads to the fate of the ill-begotten progeny. Without a sire, most childer are doomed to walk the earth never knowing their place, their responsibility, and most importantly, the laws they must obey. Therefore, I have decided that
this is bullshit!
if Mr. Rodriguez would let me finish, I have decided to let this kindred live. They shall be instructed in the ways of our kind, and be granted the same rights. Let no one say I am unsympathetic to the plights and causes of this community. I thank you all for attending these proceedings, and I hope their significance is not lost. Good evening. Your sire, tragic, my apologies. But you see, there is a strict code of conduct that all of us must adhere to if we wish to survive. When anyone breaks these laws, they undermine the well-worn fabric of our centuries-old society. Understand my predicament. Allowing you to live makes me directly responsible for your subsequent behavior. So, what I'm offering is not generosity, but the opportunity to transcend the fate woven by your sire. This is your trial. You will be brought to Santa Monica. There you will meet an agent by the name of Mercurio. He will provide the details of your labor. I've shown you great clemency. Prove it was more than a wasted gesture, fledgling. Don't come back until you do. Good evening.
Alright, so that was the intro to Vampire Bloodlines. I guess I should explain it for those unfamiliar to the lore of Vampire the Masquerade. In Vampire the Masquerade, in Camarilla-controlled territory, you cannot just embrace new vampires on a whim. The embrace is the name given to the act of turning a human into a vampire. You have to ask permission from the local prince to be able to embrace a vampire. If you don't ask for permission, that's a crime punishable by death for both the sire, that's the person that turned the human into a vampire, and the child, that's the human that was turned into a vampire. Normally, in most cases, the sire and the child would have been executed right then and there, but that guy, Nines Rodriguez, intervened, and Prince LaCroix didn't want a confrontation right then and there because, spoiler alert, Nines is a pretty powerful vampire, and he doesn't support LaCroix, and had LaCroix not backed down there and let our player character live, it would have been a massive fight between the two vampire factions, and it would have probably leveled the building and drawn the attention of a lot of vampire hunters and pretty much caused lots of trouble. So Prince LaCroix didn't want to die right then and there. He's also a pretty powerful vampire, but you might actually die if Nines calls in all of his forces. So yeah, calculated political move. So okay, this tells us about the controls. WASD for movement, that's standard for first-person shooters. Z to toggle between first and third person. Numpad keys to move the camera around or towards or away from your character in third person view. I don't think we'll be using that because the camera controls weren't in the original Bloodlines, and I don't want to change my point of view. So continue. So mouse to look around, WASD, okay, to move. There we go. And let's walk forward. And we meet this guy. Who are you? Tell me this isn't happening. What am I now?
Don't worry, kid. You'll adjust. I'd love to explain it all, but time's wasted. You want some help or what?
So, okay. At this part of the intro, option 1 will launch the tutorial. Option 3 will skip the tutorial, and option 2, Option 2 is somewhere in between. He'll tell you the basics of the game, and you pretty much get to skip the tutorial. So let's see. As with all of my Let's Plays, I like to play the tutorial to show my viewers how the game is played, so I'm going to choose number 1. Okay, I could use the help.
Why don't we, step out back here?
Okay.
This is much better. Now, we ain't got much time, but I figure somebody should do you some of the bare bones stuff at least. Could save your hide. You look wobbly. You even had a drink yet?
Drink of what?
Oh, man, we're popping a cherry here. You gonna love this. All right, check it out. What? It's your new rack of lamb, your new champagne, your new fucking heroin, kid. Get ready, though, because, hey, it's never as sweet as the first time.
Okay, I only have one option here. What do I do?
Well, down around the corner there, I saw this human, or else Obeah can't find his car.
So what do I mean,
Alright. You go down there casually. You creep up on him. The barrels and fangs and feed. Don't worry if you weren't captain of the wrestling team or something. Because it'll come so natural you think you've done it 1,000 times already.
so okay, 1 or 2. One, I'd like to roleplay my characters. I'm gonna choose dialogue option 1. Won't he become a vampire then? Because that's one of the most commonly asked questions by new players to the game. So won't he become a vampire then?
Forget that comic book crap, kid. It don't work that way. Now go for it. Be sure, though, and this is important, so listen up. Be sure not to drain them dry, okay? It might be hard to resist, but don't kill them.
Alright. Okay, so this shows us our blood pool. Blood is basically the mana pool of vampire bloodlines. And you replenish your mana, or rather blood, by drinking blood from humans. And of course there are some alternate sources, but humans are the best source of blood in the game. So let's go drink the blood of this unsuspecting person. Feeding on humans fills your blood pool. Okay, default F. And this is very important. Other humans should not see you feeding on humans, because they will see that you're a vampire. It will breach the masquerade, and hunters will come hunting you and kill you eventually. So once you've done feeding, yeah, I already know this. Press feed again to stop feeding. Actually, it's press any button to stop feeding. Okay, this is a new mechanic to Vampire the Final Nights. You actually lose blood every 4 minutes, and the higher your stamina, the slower your blood pool drains. Now, one thing that's unique about the Final Nights compared to Camarilla Edition, which is the mod that the Final Nights is based on, is that humanity also affects your blood loss. In this case, low humanity speeds up your blood loss, while high stamina slows down your blood loss. So pretty much we shouldn't be murdering random people, so our humanity should stay high for most of the game. So let's continue. Alright, let's go up to this guy and F. Now, if you're wondering, why isn't this guy fighting back? He's just letting us bite. He's just letting us bite him and drink his blood. That's because vampires have this thing called the kiss of the vampire. In that when a vampire bites you, it feels really good. It's been described as being better than the best heroin and the best sex at the same time, for both the human and the vampire. So it feels really, really good. That's why they don't fight back. And that's why a lot of vampire hunters, those that got bitten by vampires, are so messed up. Because on one hand, they know that vampires hurt people, but on the other hand, they know that getting bit by a vampire feels really, really good. So they're pretty much conflicted. A lot of vampires actually become blood dolls themselves. Blood dolls are those individuals who actively seek out vampires to get bitten by them, because they like the feeling that the kiss gives them. Yeah, I've never felt this way before. It feels amazing. Yeah, it feels amazing for my character. I feel like crap though because my allergies are killing me. Vampires are immune to disease, but the player controlling the vampire is not, so I'm not immune to allergies. Can we take a break here? Okay, let's see. I've never felt this way before. It feels amazing.
Alright, you got the blood, you're feeling all kick-ass, feel better than your best day living, but wait, it gets better. All kindred, that's our word, vampire. All kindred have a few things in common. Things that set them right square above humans on the food chain.
Yeah, like what?
Like sharper senses, a body that can take a beating, and if you play your cards right, eternal life. That's no sure bet. Still, the chance of immortality's not a bad deal. That's just for starters. French benefits for joining the club.
So I'm going to live forever?
Well, you can still be destroyed, but forget the piece of the bull. Garlic, worthless. A cross, shove it right up their ass. A steak, only if it catches you in the heart, then it just paralyzes you. Running water, no problem. I bathe. Well, occasionally. Now, a shotgun blast is oh, that's trouble. Fire, that's real trouble. Sunlight, well, you catch the sunrise and it's all overkill. Get it?
Yeah, he's just describing the main weaknesses of the kindred, fire and sunlight. Unlike traditional vampires, we're pretty much unaffected by garlic, and crosses don't work. Crosses actually work if the person has true faith. As in, it's not the cross that wards off vampires, it's the faith and the belief in God in the person. That actually comes into play much later in this game. You actually run into a hunter with true faith. So, got it.
Okay, now.
Okay, so there's some shooting and a car just braking. Head upstairs. Okay, it tells us to use icon, press E to use stuff. Okay, that's E. Space bar to jump. Space, 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 space. There we go. Okay. Feats. Okay, inspection is a feat. It is a combination of perception and investigation. It allows you to see hidden and secret things. Yeah, we know that. You can pick up objects. Press E. So we got lockpicks. You can now lockpick doors.
Stay away from the window. Oh, it's a Sabat raid. Sabat. They're, those spray this shit till later. Sabat. You're mostly mindless, bloodthirsty assholes. That's all you need to know for now, right?
In layman's terms, Sabat vampires are pretty much the vampires from Blade, while the Camarilla vampires are like the vampires from the Anne Rice novels. That's pretty much a gross oversimplification of the differences between the Sabat and the Camarilla, but I think that's the shortest way to describe them. Okay, so that's all you need to know for now, alright? Sure.
It's up. Back away.
So yeah, they're pretty much standard action movie vampires. The animations of this game are pretty crude. I mean, considering I've been so used to Team Fortress 2 and the modern Source engine, just much better animations. The Sabat got wasted by the sheriff. And they all died.
Alright, we gotta move out the back quick. I'll stay. You can watch out. You get us into the office. Doors around the corner here.
I'm on it. To access your quest log, press L, okay? L. Jihad for Beginners. A vicious vampire faction known as the Sabat has launched an assault on the secret Camarilla gathering downtown. You and Jack are caught in the middle. To escape, you must obtain entry into the office. Okay. Let's see, we start with 6 humanity. We have 5 masquerade points. And, okay, new music as well. Except, Okay, let me check my disciplines first. Okay. Oh, okay. Obeah is just one discipline. Okay, that's pretty nice. It's pretty simple. I don't have to use a lot of hotkeys to keep track of my disciplines. Speaking of hotkeys, I'm gonna do this right now. Okay. Normally, accessing the higher number hotkeys would be difficult, but I have a Razer Naga 2014 mouse, which is pretty useful for its left side numpad, which is accessible by my right thumb. So let's see, melee weapons is 1, 2 is ranged weapon. I don't actually have any melee weapons. I don't have any melee weapons yet. I don't have any ranged weapons either. So 3 aspects. 4 is Obeah. Fortitude. Oops. Fortitude. Let's see. 4. So, I mean, I think I should put them in alphabetical order. Fortitude, then Obeah. So, 3, 4, 5. Then 6 is, you want blood buff or blood heal. Let's see. I think I'll put 6 on blood buff and blood heal as 7, lucky number 7. And I'm gonna unbind these keys. I don't want to accidentally drink blood packs that precious blood packs that allow you to get blood in an emergency. So that's all the hotkeys I need. I probably need to move these hotkeys to the higher numbers as I get more weapons to use. But for now, it's 3, 4, 5 for Auspex, Fortitude, and Obeah. Except, or I can use the mouse pad. So let's see, Auspex, Obeah, Fortitude. Okay. That works too. Okay, when the door is locked, you will see this use icon. So, okay, it's the lockpicking tutorial. So let's do this. E, lockpick. Oh, we have black nails. Lockpicking succeeded at lock difficulty of 1. Okay, that's interesting. It's a lockpicking thing that anyone can pass.
Shortcut. Well, nicely done, though. Not exactly an angel in life, were you?
I know how to handle myself.
Cool. You want a lesson on how really not to act? Take a look at those Sabat assholes. You're a big bad vampire. Yeah, great, congrats. Now keep it to yourself. You go roar and you put your chest in. That's what you expect.
Wait, I've still got that list of people from high school. Why not?
It's the same reason you don't let humans see you feeding. It's why the wolf doesn't want the sheep to know he's there. It's also why you don't go juggling dumpsters or outrun the 815 from Sacramento. And it's why you didn't know any of this when you woke up this morning.
Ah, I get it.
Keep our secret secret and make things easier on all of us. We live in the age of cell phone cameras. Fuck-ups ain't tolerated. Makes sense enough, right? Well, it ain't a casual thing for a veteran like you.
What do you mean? What could happen?
That party back there, the guy in the suit from the Gorilla, the assholes that put your side
Magilla Gorilla.
the Camarilla. They make a tiny bit of vampire lore.
So this is another common question asked by newbies to Vampire the Masquerade. Are the Camarillas the good guys? No, they're not really, but you know what, let's choose that. We're new to this vampire business. Camarilla, so they're like the vampire good guys?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I think some other time, maybe. I like to let people form their own opinions.
Alright, so what's next?
Alright, now don't worry, because I know the area a little. You know what? I'm glad we're in this situation, you and I. It illustrates a point. You gotta utilize your surroundings.
Okay, but what does that mean exactly?
Do what you gotta do. Theft, destruction of property, breaking and entering. These will be the least of your sins before the night's out. So look around here. You gotta get out the back there through that magnetically sealed door. There must be a key to the place.
I'll find it. So, okay, this now explains the area types in Vampire Bloodlines. The gun means we're in a combat area, so you're free to use your powers and you won't break the masquerade. Masquerade areas are areas where you have to respect the masquerade. You can't just use your powers willy-nilly. Otherwise, mortals will notice, you'll breach the masquerade, and hunters will appear to try and take you out. And finally, the stylized E there, those are Elysium areas. It's vampire neutral ground, so you're not allowed to use your powers at all. But there are some locks in Elysium areas, and you are allowed to use blood buff while lock picking. So that's it. So in masquerade areas, breaking the masquerade can carry dire consequences, as such as the unwanted attention of vampire hunters. These aren't vampire hunters that just use stakes and torches to kill you. They use sniper rifles, they use grenades, rocket launchers, depending on the mod. They're pretty bad news, and they don't just come they don't just come one by one. They come in groups to try and bring you down. It's not like in shows where they fight vampires, where it's just one hunter against a lot of vampires. Normally, it's a lot of hunters versus a single vampire, which you most likely will not survive. Okay, so we have several options here. Basically, we need to open this safe. We can either hack the computer. So let's see, enter. Safe. So see, you can press Control C to hack, and it'll try to break in the computer system. But one thing that one thing about Vampire Bloodlines is that there are many ways to get the password legally without the hacking skill. Like this one, see, password chop shop. It's written right there. So you can press hack, or you can just press chop shop right away, and it'll give you the password. So there you go. The password doesn't change with new games, which is one thing that made the hacking skill pretty useless after your first playthrough in the original Vampire Bloodlines. But I've heard that there's a lot of use for the hacking skill in this game, so let's continue. Unlock. Computer systems in this game are all... they don't have a graphical user interface. You actually have to type the commands like in DOS. That's an old operating system for my younger viewers. DOS. Oh my goodness, I feel so old. That stands for Disk Operating System, and that was what we used before we had Windows. You had to type all of the commands. There was no clicking in DOS. You had to know the commands, and you had to type them perfectly. Otherwise, you wouldn't get anything done. So anyway, that's irrelevant. Unlock. Safe doors unlock. So let's press escape. Excuse me. Is there a thing here? Okay, there's nothing here. Okay, so when you approach a container, you will see this use icon. Press E. Okay, E. So you got the chop shop key, and the key spins, and we can even rotate it to see the stuff here. So automated access systems, take, exit. Got it. Inventory is I. So this is what we have right now, a lockpick. So this is what you use to open locks. These are our list of keys. And no keys. We're supposed to have a key. That's weird. Did I pick up the key? Oh yeah, I picked it up, but it's a quest item, so I think it doesn't go into our key ring for some reason. So let's see. Yeah, we're gonna open this one and go downstairs. Uh oh, we got shot at by the Sabbat, but Jack comes to the rescue. Wham. You've been wounded by the Sabbat. This blue bar represents your current level of health. As you sustain regular damage, it will turn black. Okay, your health regenerates over time. When using the disciplined blood heal, your health regenerates I'm sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. Your health regenerates much faster. Okay, so this is the difference between the Camarilla Edition and the Final Nights. Apparently, in the Final Nights, your health does regenerate, even though you're not using blood heal. Whereas in the Camarilla Edition, the only way to heal was to use blood heal. So if your health bar turns to yellow, it means you have sustained aggravated damage. Aggravated damage is damage that's pretty severe and very hard to heal. It comes from fire, supernatural attacks, and sunlight. Luckily, you never encounter sunlight in this game because it's always night. It's assumed that you sleep during the day and you only come out during at night, so it's never an issue. But fire, yeah, fire exists in this game. Supernatural attacks, yeah, you fight vampires and other monsters at night, so yeah, those are real threats. Now let's see. Let me see. What's the character sheet? C. Okay, C is character. So Obeah is. Okay, so we can't heal ourselves yet until we get level 3 Obeah. Okay. So it's just okay. Sense vitality and warding the beast. Okay. So I guess we do have to feed to. Let me see. Where's blood heal? What did I? Okay. Blood heal is 7. So oops. Press the wrong key there. So 7. Right click. That's nice. I'm healing now. I'm recovering hit points. Oh, blood heal lasts a pretty good amount. Okay, that's good.
Fucking waste of unlight, some hot potos. Need a wing? Hey, look at them potholes. Those will close up soon enough. Better feed though. There's someone downstairs here. Not the freshest catch, but he'll do.
What's the difference? Blood's blood, right?
When it comes to feeding, it's quality blood you're looking for, not the quantity. Bums and lowlife don't pack the same punch that a healthy, well-bred human will. Juice bags with a pedigree. That's the good stuff. You gotta take what you can get. You ever had a PhD, kid? Ooh, that's good stuff.
Okay, this is something different from the pencil and paper game. What mattered in the pencil and paper game was the hit points of the character, and most humans had 7 hit points. So yeah, it didn't really matter how well bred the human was. All that mattered was how healthy he was. So but this is a way to differentiate between. Actually, this mechanic is for the Ventru. The Ventru can only feed on high class people in this game. They can't feed on bums at all. Let's see. Yeah, the Ventru in the original Bloodlines, they had a 50% chance of vomiting up the blood if they tried to feed on a low class person. But since we can't play Ventru in the Final Nights, that's irrelevant. If you say so.
Remember what I said, though. Don't kill them. At least not the innocent ones. They're a monster. Make no mistake. One of the damned and the fallen. You need to hold on to every last shred of humanity you have.
Let's say I get a little overzealous. What happens then?
An innocent is an innocent. You kill one, even a worthless bum, even by accident, it's going to cost you a piece of your own humanity. We were closer to that beast you got welling up inside you.
The beast, what exactly does that mean?
Beast, it's always there, waiting to take over. When it does, it's like a wild animal wearing your skin. Desperate, scared, reckless. They'll do anything to survive, and it's you that has to deal with the consequences.
So I can't kill anyone? That seems a little restricting.
I said innocent human. If some asshole levels a 12 gauge your way, you drain him, skin him, and bash in his skull. Self-preservation was the vital part of humanity after all. My favorite part, in fact.
I think I follow.
The way to fight the beast is to keep in touch with your humanity and don't go hungry. It's a fine line.
Got it.
All right, now go feed. Careful though. He's gonna drain fast.
Be back in a minute. Remember, you want to avoid draining your victims. Okay. The beast is pretty much the vampire superpowered evil side. The more evil a vampire becomes, the stronger his beast becomes, and the easier it becomes to commit more horrible stuff that'll strengthen the beast. This is represented by your humanity going up or down. The lower your humanity becomes, the more monstrous you become, and once you reach humanity 0, you simply don't care at all about anything other than feeding and killing and just pretty much killing people and draining them dry. You become pretty much a mindless animal an action movie vampire. You're pretty much nothing more than a sunlight sensitive zombie once you reach humanity 0. So humanity 1 to 3, the lives and property of others are irrelevant to a kindred this far gone. Few vampires maintain scores this low for very long. Their damnation is all but certain at this point. Perversion, callous murder, mutilation of victims, and wickedness for its own sake are the hallmarks of a kindred with the very low humanity. So, okay, here's something that's unique to the final lines. At this point, even seeing an innocent die, whether by your hand or not, will excite the beast to the point that a frenzy check will be made. In addition to this, you will also suffer an additional loss to your humanity, whether you killed the innocent or not. So basically, the lower your humanity, the easier it is to further lose humanity. And it becomes a downward spiral. Excuse me. So, yeah. So we're gonna eat this guy. Okay, that's all we need. So I was right. The Salubri gain less blood by feeding on humans because it took so long for our blood meter to go back up. Worse than a bum's neck. That scarf tasted like old gym socks. I think I still got some threads between my teeth. I'll think about it. Rats can be fed upon to gain a single blood point. Killing rats has no impact. Yeah, killing rats will not affect your humanity at all, but it's a serious breach of the masquerade. And in some of the later levels, your only source of blood will be rats, so you have no choice but to feed on rats if you want to refill your health and your blood meter. But I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to talk to him again. If I remember correctly, in the original game, the Nosferatu actually got 3 blood points by feeding on rats. That was their advantage in the base game because they had such huge social disadvantages that they made up for it with that. Okay, I can see why rats are where I draw the line. Just one guy? So we're gonna go to the sneaking tutorial.
The building across from us with the garage door. There's some double doors on the far side. I'll meet you inside. Just stay low and stick to the shadows. And don't let him see you.
I'll do my best. See you in a minute.
Alright, go.
Gone. Okay, sneaking is you activate sneaking by crouching. And that meter there, okay, we need to open this. So let's see, we need to sneak past some guy. Okay, we gotta stick to the darkness here. Okay, it's that guy over there. Oops, need to sneak past him. Boom. So, okay, he's back there. We're gonna sneak here. Okay, he's gonna see us. He's not gonna see us. Okay, there we go. What makes you think that? Yeah, the Sabbat have very low standards for embracing vampires. What they do is they kidnap a large group of people. They turn them into vampires. They knock them unconscious by whacking them in the head with a shovel, and then they bury them alive or they bury them undead. Those that manage to claw their way back to the surface are promoted to are basically forced to join the Sabbat. And normally you probably have to drain the other vampires that are also trying to claw their way back to the surface so you can survive. So that pretty much screws you up mentally and physically. How can that be? Yeah, that's what I meant. Turned and beaten over the head. I'll do my best. I was born ready. I'm on it. To engage in unarmed combat, you need to equip your fists and then attack. Okay. Strength and brawl. Block is tab. Okay, so... Why am I not attacking? What the hell? Melee weapons. Why the hell am I not attacking? I'm clicking, but I'm not attacking. Oh wow, that's weird. Auspex. Let's try some other stuff here. Blood buff. Fortitude. Obeah. Why am I not able to attack? What the hell? Okay, that's weird. Okay, melee weapons. Okay, cancel. 1. Okay. That's really weird. I'm not able to attack. Oh, okay. I think this is a bug with this game. Normally, you have an inventory item called fists, and you can toggle to that. But apparently, I didn't get the fists. So, is there anything I can do? Wow, I just found a game-breaking bug. Okay, is there anything else I can do? Wow, I think I'm gonna show this to the team behind the Final Nights. I think they need to fix this bug, because this is pretty much game breaking right here. This is the definition of game breaking. So yeah, well, let's just main menu. Okay. Okay, our Let's Play got aborted because of a game-breaking bug. And that's it for now. This has been Aaron Times playing Vampire: The Final Nights.